Hi, everybody. In this video, you're going to learn how to calculate a very famous number called pi. Let's jump in and get started. First, we will go to the Math for Adults Foundation website, mapsfoundation.com. Click on Coordinator's Corner, Geometry. You'll scroll down to Session 5 and look at pages 35 and 36. All right, so first of all, we will be looking at different circular objects. So if you have some lids from your Tupperware cupboard, maybe a sour cream box or something like that, the first thing we'll do is be taking a strip of paper and wrapping it around that circular item, and then we'll measure across the circular item. Okay, so I've got a cottage cheese container lid here. You're just going to cut a strip of paper off of some scrap paper and measure all the way around, like so. And then you'll also measure straight across, like this. Okay, so then you're going to take your long strip and your short strip and see how many of the diameters it takes to fill up that circumference all the way around. And do that for several different circular objects. Okay, next we'll be calculating it that same distance around, but this time we'll actually measure it using a tape measure. And we'll keep track of our data on page 35 that looks like this. Okay, so if we take our tape measure and wrap it all the way around, circular object, you can measure that. You should measure it in centimeters if you have that on your tape measure, otherwise inches is fine. Make sure that you're starting at 0, not at the other end. Okay, so if I measure all the way around this lid, I am getting approximately 37 centimeters. And you'll notice that the small lines in between the centimeters are millimeters. So we could actually call it 29.9, or we could even make an estimate to the nearest hundredth. The millimeters are to the nearest tenth, and then you can estimate one place value even more precise than that. So we could call it maybe we could do 100th or something. I just look at it again. So I could call it 36.95. Okay, so if we jot that down on our table. And that would be the circumference, actually, the distance all the way around. Diameter is the distance across. Okay, so now if we measure the distance across in centimeters again, I'm getting 11.8. Centimeters. If you measured in inches to begin with, you should measure in inches for the diameter as well. Now that I look at it again, 11.8 seems too much. Looks closer to be maybe 11.5, call 11.55. So fill that in your table. And then the final thing you want to do is take your calculator and do a division. You can do the calculator on your phone if you like. And you'll take that circumference divided by the diameter. And that will give you this ratio right here. Okay, so when I take circumference divided by diameter, I am getting 3.2 for the ratio. Okay, so do that for several different circular items, 3 at least, and then compare that to the numbers that another class got that are written here. You can see the ratio is really close to 3 for all of these different circular items, and it turns out that's because anytime you take the circumference around a circle divided by the diameter, you would always get pi. Remember the number 3.14159 goes on and on and on forever. So these approximations are really close to that. So it's kind of neat that any circle, doesn't matter whether it's the sun, the moon, iris of your eye, the circumference around divided by the diameter will always give you pi. Bye, everybody.